This is a homemade broadcast radio production.
Whether your radio dial is set to music or news or talk, each could be offensive.
But when it comes to making waves on the air, dicey language and spicy topics are turning up all over the dial. If you're not a regular to this type of radio, here's a word of caution. You may find it explicit. You decide if Tampa Bay radio is blaring out airwaves or shockwaves. Turn on your radio and find wholesome family entertainment. Turn on your radio today and make your mother blush. Almost nothing is sacred these days when it comes to radio, except not losing the station's license. Radio personalities are pushing all the limits. You may find the language in this story explicit, but the Federal Communications Commission has never fined a Tampa Bay radio station. You be the judge. Are they airwaves or shockwaves?
I don't agree with all of it, but it's very popular.
Personnel, this is CVTS. Base vehicle pre-count operations will start on my mark at 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It is the Homemade Broadcast, episode 481, live stream. Welcome, welcome. My name's Will. This is Anna Humel here. Hi, Anna.
Hello.
Good to see you. You're all moved in. New background I see there, new house. It kind of looks like you're being held hostage in an Iraqi basement, and the payment for your return is very steep.
Well, Iraq, Pinellas County, undisclosed location, pretty much the same thing. I mean, no, the movie's complete. I was very sentimental about leaving that place. And then you just think about, all the times you didn't want to be in that place anymore. And this is a much better fit for me in my current situation. And I feel like I am playing house because I live in a house.
Yeah, you are.
And that is different. I've never lived with a boy before. Well, I lived with a gay boy, but I've never lived with my man before. So this is new territory, Will. And I gotta say, I kind of like it.
Did you think you would not like it?
No, I knew that I would. And not because it's just like a shot in the dark, but with my current boyfriend, Chris, probably for the last almost year, we've pretty much been living together like 5 days out of the week anyways. We work together. I'd go over to his place. He came over to my place one time. But, that's the nature of having a roommate. So, I already knew what it would kind of be like to kind of do the dance, the choreographed dance of living together. And also, it's not a small house. Well, I guess by some standards, not for me. 3 bed, 2 bath. So plenty of space for everybody. And so far I really like it, Granted, I'm like, let's say fully like 3 days in since my stuff was moved in, but it's good. I'm fully moved out of the other place and I'm ready to start a new chapter. So
have you spoken to your former roommate since the move?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, good.
Oh yeah, I am. Well, our lease isn't up until June 12th. And I was actually over there today because she's been out of town for a week. So she asked me to kind of, without directly asking, but I kind of said I would keep my eye on the cats for her. And, this was the last time. Not that I'll never do a favor for her again. Of course I would, but this is the last time I'll ever take care of those cats. And I said bye to them today. I felt nothing. It was, couldn't wait to leave, but went, make sure they were okay. And she arrives tonight. So grab the last thing, which, anybody that knows me well knows it's going to be some soap and a towel. So hand soap and a towel. And because I love washing my hands and just kind of, I think that was thunder, but just saluted my way to the cats and pat them on the head and go, I can't believe I've known you guys for 3 years and I care so little about you. That says something about me. So,
it does.
There's no meowing. There's no meowing.
Yeah. It's impressive. You're finally an adult. You can get in touch with the show, by the way, 813-693-2124, HMBradio.com, thehomemadebroadcast@gmail.com. What else? Home_made_man on Instagram and Twitter. Anna is completely offline, which is great for her. Now, did you, I want to touch on this quickly. I had, obviously it was Memorial Day weekend. There's some, kind of, I don't know, debate. I don't know if you would call it a debate or not, but like, what do you say during Memorial Day? Do you say Happy Memorial Day? That doesn't sound right. I've kind of figured out that the workaround is saying Happy Memorial Day weekend when you add the weekend on there, as opposed to just saying that day, which is a day of, it's supposed to be a somber day. Not like you're not supposed to sit around and cry all day, but you're supposed to remember the sacrifice of servicemen and women and the things that they've done, died for their country. So I feel like the weekend, if you add on the weekend to Happy Memorial Day, that kind of makes it a little more palatable.
I just
And
don't
there's,
miss it at all. I just go, I hope you're having a good 3-day weekend.
yeah, but then you're not even acknowledging it, which is worse.
Yeah, I'm acknowledging it, and we certainly talked about it on the show. But when it comes to greetings, you see someone on that day. Honestly, what I did, because I obviously had the day off of work, and then I went to jujitsu and did like a open mat, so just kind of not a class, just you kind of roll around with people, and I kind of just acknowledged the awkwardness of saying that. I'm like, happy, I did one of those, like, what do you say? Happy 3-day weekend. How was your weekend? Sort of a thing. But doesn't mean I wasn't thinking about it. That morning, Chris got up and put out the American flag, which is the only thing that I'll allow him to put out there. Not allow him. He's a grown ass man, obviously. But we had a discussion about certain things that we're willing to put on our rented property, and I said, listen, I don't want anything. I don't want a BLM flag. I don't want a blue stripe flag. I don't want you putting DeSantis posters. I don't want you putting Biden posters. Nobody needs to know what we think in this household, and I don't want to be a target for anything. I don't put anything on my car. There's no bumper stickers because they ruin your paint, even though my paint's already ruined. They're tacky too. It's like, please. But it's I'm like, don't treat your car like a 7th grade binder. It's ridiculous. But even still, even if it was a magnet, I just don't like. I don't need to be run off the road by some crazy person who has a thing out for Kevin Hazlett, who ran for Congress, or DeSantis, or whatever. So I just keep that stuff to myself. American flag, we'll let that fly. But other than that, I told him, I'm like, don't put anything on the lawn. Or, no Trump, MAGA, no BLM, no rainbows, no nothing. Okay.
Yeah, what's the point? What is the point in any of that stuff? I mean, the flag, especially on Memorial Day, is I guess, I think that's appropriate, but
yeah.
And I guess it's always been kind of a tradition. A lot of people, my dad's always had an American flag. I always remember he's got a little one on his mailbox. I'm pretty sure he still has that. But the idea of putting a political sign on your property,
why?
Like, what are you doing? It's much like putting your opinion on social media. Like, it's only going to piss people off, and then people who agree with it will be like, nice, and they might.
Nobody knows where your actual. I mean, I guess they could find out if they really tried, but no one's like, oh, there's Will with the sign. Like, you don't know where you are. It could be at your house. It could be, at the store. Where nobody knows your actual location. But when you're making your home a target for some crazy person who's having a bad day to walk by and be like, F that? No. Road rage? No. Like, so I'm very serious about keeping anything political, right, left, center, whatever, so that nobody knows what we and I am thinking or voting for.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's just like, it's not important what you are thinking, what your neighbors are thinking, as long as you live together in peace and harmony, or complete avoidance. That's really the only thing that matters. Nobody needs to know who you're voting for or who you bang or whatever. And it's kind of unfortunate because we're rolling into Pride Month now, and I feel like that flag is politicized now. It's not just
now.
Pride. Well, I mean, within the past few years, yeah, it used to be just kind of a thing that you put out for Pride Day that turned into a week, that turned into a month. And now it's a political statement if you have one of those out in front of your home, which is kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. How do I feel about this? I feel like Dave Smith touched on this when he was on Rogue, and he said something interesting, and I'm going to mess it up because I don't remember it exactly. But he was saying when you have this like woke stuff that's just shoved down your throat, you like kind of turn around, you like get how, fascist dictators happen. Because you're like, you know what? F that. I'm sick of it. Let's go the other direction. Which is funny because that's so antithetical to who I am. But you're just so sick of hearing about it. You're like, yeah, bring back the dictator. Enough with this. I can't. Not that Trump was a dictator, but you know what I mean? I'm like, bring back the racist. I'm sick of this stuff. I can't deal with it. So I feel like that's kind of, it puts people like me, and I'm assuming you, in the position where you're just like, you're so done. You didn't have a problem with it before, but now you do. Now you do.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't have a problem. I did walk into, to my workplace last night, and it is just decked to the halls with, oh my God, it is the most elaborate decorations for Pride Month.
It's not even June.
Now companies are doing it a few days early. I've noticed that companies on LinkedIn and stuff are already changing now, like to be the first ones in before, it actually happens. But oh man, they decorated the office to the hilt with rainbow stuff.
Send them to me tonight.
I'm sorry?
Can you take pictures and send them to me?
Yes. I'm not going to be there tonight, but I will on Thursday for sure. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. But it's like as soon as you walk off the elevator, it's just wow, in your face. And I couldn't help but notice, actually, Johnny brought that up last night, and I thought it was a good point, and I think he kind of got uncomfortable when I said it was his thought. But he goes, he's just like us in this regard now. He's just like, I can't help but to notice. It's like if you notice things now, you can be called a bad person. But he's like, they didn't do anything for Memorial Day. We had Cinco de Mayo stuff up for all month for 5 weeks. And, Memorial Day, I think we got an email. What's that?
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I mean.
It is. I mean.
Part of me.
Soldiers who gave their lives so that you could live in a free country and post a rainbow flag, but you don't acknowledge them.
I think we got an email, we got it, but yeah, there was no American flags up in the office or anything. I wish they wouldn't do it at all, honestly, at this point. I feel like if you can't celebrate, certain things and not others, so let's just not do it. That's kind of how I feel now.
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and go, that's not really a holiday you celebrate, and maybe that's why it wasn't decorated.
True. Yeah, that's true. That's
but also WTF,
could have been something, I don't know, but they put themselves in a box and it kind of, put into a corner here where they decide to do stuff for certain things and not for I'm sure 4th of July will be the next big one where the office will be decorated. I'm sure it will be
periodically.
I'll give the benefit of the doubt with that, but I don't know. We'll see. And I kind of like, I don't have a problem with it, but much to your point, it's like, all right, I get it. Now it's starting to annoy me a little bit just because it's so in your face and everywhere. When you got when they're fighting the American flag hanging up in classrooms, but they got the pride flag up now in all these classrooms in elementary school, you're like, okay, something's going on here. And like I said, you're an ass for noticing, but I can't help but to notice. Sorry.
Yeah.
813-693-2124, HMBradio.com, home_made_man. Now, I don't know if you saw, did you see, you're not on social media, so you didn't see it, but I saw one annoying Memorial Day social media post from a repeat offender. I feel like I can teleport the thought to you of who it is.
Okay, I got it.
You do got it? I don't want you to say it just in case they hear it, but I feel like you know. It's just
someone who says dumb stuff.
Oh yeah, all the time.
maybe is a fan of.
I mean, it's not important. It's a trope. It's a meme. This person's a meme. It's not a human being. It's could be anybody on your social media feed. But they had a post, an Instagram story, and it just had they found this old Budweiser bandana, and it had American flags all over it. And they decided to make a comment on Memorial Day that we posted the picture of that, and then mentioned that I can't. She's noticing too, and she's an ass. So it's kind of a juxtaposition there. But I can't help but to notice the um correlation or oh, how did she phrase it? She didn't use that word, but the interbreeding of capitalism and
intersectionality.
no, what is she? I can't help but notice the connection. I think that's what she said, between capitalism and this holiday, meaning Memorial Day. And I mean, it's just exactly. It's just one of those statements where you just go. I mean, it's a very tongue-in-cheek.
Like, Pride Month, where they sell
exactly.
stuff all month long.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Like, you're not wrong. There was a time when Budweiser was very focused on their clientele of red-blooded Americans, and they marketed to them. Yes, so you're not wrong that there is a connection between this state holiday and many others and capitalism. Yeah, I mean, we're in that system, but it's like, have you read a world history book? Do you understand? Like, yeah, you can do this with the stars and bars, but you're going to have to be patriotic about, the hammer and sickle too. In fact, they'll do it by gunpoint. Like, with any system that you're in, there's going to be a strong push towards patriotism for that system to keep morale high. So it's just incomplete. It's just an incomplete thought. It's not wrong. It's just like, why would you say it? Number one, it's not a new thought. It's not an interesting thought. It's just boring college girlfriend type of comment. I don't know if she got any kudos for it or something online. I'm sure she did from some of her friends and stuff, but it just annoyed me. I thought about it all day, and I don't even really. This is the thing. I really don't care. It's just I care more about the incompleteness of thoughts that are out in the ether, and just like when people think they are smart. Like, that's a smart comment.
I think it's profound, but it's not.
It's just boring. I mean, like I said it in college, it's just like, but I grew up, I can't read, so I listen to audiobooks instead about like, it's just like they have no connection to the world outside of like 2008 onward, maybe.
Yeah.
But they don't know what American history was, what world history was, what political systems were like, the different kinds, and I don't know either, all of them, but I know that there's a lot. And I know that statement is just incomplete. It's not wrong necessarily. Yeah, I mean, it's right. It's just, what do you think is happening? Like, if there's another political system that, it's going to be what exactly? A utopia, I guess. That's what they believe.
It seems like it's this huge overhaul, and I honestly don't know what the end game is, because it seems like part of the identity of the woke left, and I'm so sick of talking about them, because I feel like the more you talk about them, it's like, Beetlejuice. It's like, I'm bringing it up again, but it's hard to ignore, kind of like you said. But it's like part of the identity is self-loathing and self-hatred. So part of your identity is just what you hate, which is like America, which is the history of what brought you to the point that you're at right now. So, we're talking about the future identity. What is the future identity? Is it just this like genderless, nationless, sentient being? Like, I don't even want to call you a human, because I feel like that would offend you too. I identify as a bunny rabbit. I don't know. So I don't understand. Like, you start to, a lot of people have been making connections between like the fall of Rome and what's going on now. where, especially with the migrant situation, and it's like, okay, well, when you become so big like Rome was, where there really was no unity like between people who lived in Gaul, who were, which is modern day France, and people who lived in Africa, parts of Egypt, it's like, okay, these people don't share any, there's no cultural rituals that connect them, sense of identity that connect them. It's just that they're under the control of one emperor, essentially. And I mean, there's a few reasons why Rome fell, but that was one of them. It just became too big for its britches. There was no real cultural identity to fight for. There was a lot of states that kind of separated, and then they wanted their own, and they wanted to govern themselves, and because they had nothing in connection with anybody else. Like the Soviet Union, Russia was like, what do we have in after 50 years of being the Soviet Union? It's like, we don't want these little like Muslim countries. We don't really share any. They're kind of weighing us down. Let's get rid of them. They're poor and they don't do anything, and we have no connection with them. So this like lack of cultural identity, and I feel like the identity of the woke left is hate thyself. Hate thyself, especially if you're, white. And then if you are white, unfortunately, you gotta, I'm the 1024th Native American. I'm bisexual. I am a woman. I identify as a woman. Like, it always has to be like a and something. So not to blame white people again, but it seems like, because there's so much self-loathing, because so much of the woke left is white, they feel like the need to purge, and the only way to show their compassion is to hate themselves.
Mm-hmm. It seems to be unique.
Myself, don't you see? I'm an ally. What does that mean?
It's unique to Western people too. Like, you would never see
any people who has no pride for like.
Exactly. Yeah.
For culture, we're always told to celebrate our stuff, unless you're Anglo, Saxon, white, from Northern Europe, whatever. Like, then you're not allowed to celebrate, unless you get real specific. Like, I'm Irish or I'm Norwegian. Like, you can't just say I'm white, or like I'm Latinx, like I'm black, like I'm Asian. You can't say that. Oh, I'm European. Racist. You have to be real specific about it, but it is weird that your identity revolves around hating yourself for stuff you didn't do. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, well, that the workaround with that is, well, the system that was built has benefited you. So that's the workaround. That even though you weren't alive when any of this stuff went down, doesn't matter, because you're still benefiting from it. What's the proof of that? Well, just is.
Right. It's like, are you benefiting?
I mean, I don't feel like I am, but I mean, you've heard the arguments where a homeless white person has more privilege in society than a person of color. I mean, it's just absurd statement. I mean, clearly that's not true if you have any sort of brain.
You know who really said it best, which was truly honest, was Bill Maher. He was like, there's no such thing as white privilege. But he was like, there's white advantage in some situations. Maybe if you walk into a country club, maybe there would just be a little bit more welcoming, or, if there's black privilege, if you're, trying to get into college and affirmative action. Like, there's advantages to being a woman, and then there's also advantages to being a man. It's not just a blanket, you're privileged, you're not privileged. There are advantages to and disadvantages to everything. Like there always has been, like there always will be. If you're a hot young girl with no money, that's an advantage to being just a young, even good-looking boy with no money. No rich guy in his 30s is going to invite the young hot guy on his yacht. It's not, even if he's white, maybe if he's gay, maybe if they're both gay. But then that's an advantage. So there's advantages and disadvantages as a single person in every situation that you're in, where, I might be advantaged if I apply for a job versus you because I'm a woman, immigrant, Jew, atheist, all of the above. But there's also going to be a disadvantage to me if I were to. Doesn't matter how many boards I break, Will. If I get into a fight with another man, I'm probably going to lose. You might have a fighting chance. So advantages, disadvantages. That's just the game of life, and it seems bizarre that a whole generation of adults can't seem to understand that.
Yeah, it seems like to me the presence of those types of that mentality, which is very prominent, online and even in the real world, in our government and our corporations, that attitude is that it exists. Like, if it was this terrible place, that those ideas would not be allowed, they would get smacked down immediately, because it is that place. It is that nasty place that we're told it is, but I don't see it anywhere. Now, I have my own perception, I have my own two eyeballs and my own experience, but so do these people who claim that, well, you don't know what it's like because you don't have our experience. You don't have my experience. I mean, nobody has experience except their own. I mean, it's nonsense to say these things. And I again, you notice things, you have your own two eyes, you see this stuff. It doesn't, I don't know, like I said, it doesn't bother me if she has that point of view. I think she's naive and I think she's silly, but she's allowed to have her opinion, whatever. But it just, what bothered me was just the incompleteness of the thought. That just, it's like a quarter baked idea that just went ahead and just barfed out there, and having the ability to just barf that out and to her hundreds of people that follow her. It's just like, I don't know. What are you doing? Who are you talking to? Number one, you're just either going to get some, hey, you're right, or you're going to get people mad at you like me that now resent you for having this silly idea, which I shouldn't even care, but it just bothers me.
It's unfortunate. Sorry, go ahead, finish.
Oh, that's it. Just it's stupid.
Yes, agreed. It's just a lot of things I noticed about either side, by the way. Like, I have just as much disdain for the right as the far right. Not like the four people that are left in the KKK. I'm sure there's a bit more, but whatever, you understand. But in terms of the people that like, if you're like, yeah, I'm cool with gays, they're like, oh, you're part of the whoa. You're like, shut up too. All right.
Yeah.
Shut up. The inability of people on the extremes, or I don't want to say like the extremes. Like, I'm not just talking about KKK and Antifa, but the people that kind of border the outliers. Their inability to understand and recognize nuance. I don't know if they have I don't know if it's hard, because you don't want to start talking about like political ideologies and IQ, because sometimes it's just fear, right? Like, I'm just parroting what I hear because I want to be part of the in-group, and I don't want to rock the boat because that would make me less safe in my own community. So it's hard to say, especially when people are talking publicly. It's like, are you just virtue signaling? And not even in a way to get, sometimes in a way to get points, but sometimes in a way to self-preserve, right? Like the black square thing, where it's like, when there were major celebrities not posting it, they're like, what say you? Why didn't you post that? Are you a racist? So it's like, okay,
binary. If you're not with them, you're against them on either side.
So it's like, okay, maybe I'm not trying to virtue signal necessarily to show that I'm a great person, but I'm doing it because I want to self-preserve, which I kind of understand and is a smart tactic, right? Hello? Chris? Okay, I did see you walk in. I'm like, yeah, so I don't know if it's necessarily all virtue signaling or if it has to do with self-preservation or kind of both. But I would say that, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a correlation between, IQ and where you align, not necessarily right or left, but like how extreme you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. And I did see,
the parabola and fold it in half.
Yeah, right. Okay. I got you. Yeah, and you're right, because one of the annoying things is like what's going on in a lot of, culture and things that we see every day. You go, that is absurd and insane. And then the reactions to it, are equal and opposite, where they're so dumb too. It's like the Target thing where they had these they had pride shirts that were for kids or whatever, and people got super. Now you go
the tuck friendly.
Yeah, and there was some misinformation that went out there that this was for kids, the tuck friendly underwear. That ended up not being the case. It's a company, okay, and I hate the phrase that it's all about money. And I disagree with that. It's not all about money. It's about ideology. And there's a marriage between government, corporations, and universities that is really quite clear that are pushing a model for a new society. I'm sorry, that's just true. But they still want to make money too. And when you see these graphs where it's like, the trans people who identify as trans has gone up 1,200% in the past 5 years, you go, okay, well, there's probably going to be some people out there that want tuck underwear that they could tuck their junk into, because it's there's a market there for that. So the reaction to it, like, I get it. People, I don't, the boycotting stuff, I don't, whatever, do whatever you want. If you really don't want to shop at Target, don't shop at Target. But then you get these morons, with, their skull American flag shirts going in and bugging Target employees.
Who are like 17, like the bottom
power.
Have no sort of, control over what's going on in the situation. They're just told to just hang things back up and put them back where people left them,
But it's so, it's just obviously that's insane, and then the reactions are insane. So it's like, where do you go if you just want to have a nuanced, look at it? Go harass, the CEO. Go to upper management. Write letter. I mean, do whatever you need to do.
That's the low IQ thing coming into play, right. Possibly.
But that's a losing move. Like, I saw that video of that idiot going in and harassing some girl who's probably 22. That's a cashier at Target. Like, she doesn't decide what goes in the store. She's just calling her a Satanist. And why do you support? It's just like, dude, it's so dumb. It's so low IQ, and it's misplaced, and it makes your movement look really bad. Like, whatever points that some people were making with this stuff, it kind of gets thrown out the window because it gets replaced with this jack off just harassing this girl, calling her a demon and Satan.
Right. No, but I mean, isn't that the point? And I'm sure you already know about this because you're pretty in the know. I feel like I know a fair bit about the culture wars and the woke movement, but you're certainly more involved than I am in terms of just keeping your eye on the whole thing. But this whole is it ESG? I always want to say MSG. I know it's not that one, but this ESG score, or the something social index score, kind of like what do the Chinese have? Social credit score, but for companies.
Right.
And so, again, we were talking about this on the show today, but it's like you have these multinational investment companies like BlackRock who, are basically saying, Target, you want business, you want money, you want to invest in this, that, and the other. Well, you're going to have to up your social credit score. And they push these agendas. They come out with the tuck-friendly thing. The peasants fight among each other. And then nobody's really looking to the people that are pushing it in the first place. And then obviously the question is, well, why are they pushing it in the first place? Why is it the case that all of these, I don't want to call them globalists, these people that are kind of like in the dark, behind the scenes, these billionaires, why is it that they all seem to have the same political ideologies? And then why do they want to push them on other people? And it's like, well, I don't want people to come after me because I'm a billionaire. So I'm going to show, repentance for being a billionaire so that I can show I'm a compassionate person. Don't come after me. Because it seems like the people who are woke and left also hate the rich. So a way to say, hey, kind of like the blood of the lamb on your door during Passover, hey, I'm the one that's pushing these agendas. I'm an ally. Don't come after me.
Well, this is what do they call it? The something altruism, effective altruism, or something where these billionaires give away all their money. Bill Gates is giving away all his money.
Is he though?
Yeah, but he's giving them away to these entities that are pushing a certain agenda. So it's Sam Bankman-Fried did the same thing with the crypto scam. So all these, they're saying that they're giving away all their money to charity, but it's really these organizations that hold their point of view and the way they want to shape the world. And they go to these meetings, and you start to sound like you're a nut. But the World Economic Forum is a thing, and all of these leaders go to it, and they have meetings about where the plans are for the world. You can use these, NGOs, these charities, and even politicians go to these things. Kevin McCarthy is a part of the World Economic Forum, Speaker of the House, a Republican. So, I mean, like, they have everybody, and it's a way, to use corporations to bypass legislation that government might do. So even if you have, let's say Ron DeSantis wins and says we're going to ban, abortion, then you got, a powerhouse, a mega corporation like Disney saying, well, we're going to fight you in Florida and use our vast wealth and war chest to try to overturn these laws and do what we can. So, I mean, it's a way of interfering, and there is, there is that marriage. Like, where are all these CEOs? Where did the Bud Light lady come from? She came from the Wharton School. She went to the University of Pennsylvania. Like, they all come from the Ivy Leagues and these universities. Where do people in government come from? They come from the Ivy Leagues. They're the elites. And that's why I think they all feel the same way. They all think the same way. They all meet together at these, places like the World Economic Forum. And there's the other ones, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Like, because, it just doesn't add up why people with such vast amounts of wealth would be hating essentially themselves, because the ideologies that they support are ones that are anti-capitalist or pro-communist, Marxist, whatever, all these things that don't allow, I mean, in theory, don't allow people to acquire that much wealth. So
Yeah.
why would they be self-hating? Are they trying to justify their wealth? Well, I'm doing it for good. I have all this money and I have all this privilege, so now I'm going to do good with it. Or is it more of a kind of bait and switch where it's like, hey, there's the enemy. The people that are target people, like you said, with the Ed Hardy, American flag shirts, they're coming in, like, go after them so that you don't come after me.
I think that there's a lot of reasons, and I think there's a lot of different things. There's, CEOs are the biggest procurer of dominatrixes to be dominated. I mean, there's a lot of psychological stuff that goes
dominated or to
be dominated. Yeah, because they dominate in their real life. I think that there's something psychological there where they like to get dominated in other aspects of their life. So it's I don't think it's just one thing, but I think probably a lot of these billionaires, the common connection there would probably be that they're Ivy League educated. So they learn these things, and there was some sort of tipping point in the 2000s where it just really went downhill. As far as, there's more outright Marxists that say they're communists as far as professors on campus and say that they're conservative, for example. Right. So when you get these people that come out of school, especially these coveted, like the Bud Light lady, like I said, she's Wharton, she's, very highly educated. She went and took the stuff that she learned in school and brought it to advertising at Bud Light. And there's so many of these companies that just hire these people right out of school. They attain some sort of power. And then, so it is about making money, but, the ESG stuff comes into play. We're pushing being sustainable and being,
what do you think the motivation is? Because I truly want to understand, like, the motivation to be spearheading this new world order. I believe that human beings, there's no such thing as true altruism, which actually I can appreciate, because then I can it makes human motivation a lot more clear. If I don't just do it because out of the goodness of my heart, I'm doing it because it's in public. or I'm doing it because I'm trying to establish a bond with you so that in the event that I need you to perform a favor for me, you're more likely to do it. All those sorts of things come into play, which makes, in my mind, humans more predictable, and more just like an operational system. Like someone that you're probably never going to see again, or someone that you don't like, you're probably not going to go out of your way for, like you would for your best friend. Well, why is that? It's not random. It's operational. So, like, why is it, do you think, that like these people have billions of dollars? There's no need to, is it an extension of like, okay, I have the money, I have the wealth, I have the power. Now it's like, is it about legacy? Is that what it's about? Because I have plenty of political ideas, but you don't see me, trying to shove them down.
I think it's just
Bro,
elites
like,
doing
yeah.
elites doing what elites do, which is rule. I mean, they have a a mandate kind of to go out there, and they are the best of society. They have credentials from these very prestigious universities, and they are mandated to rule. And it's probably, nothing gets done in government, really. There's a really great episode with Justin Amash. He used to be a representative in the House. Michael Malice did. And he talked about how impossible it was to get anything done in Congress, because you would go, hey, I got this great idea. And you would go up to a congressperson and be like, hey, will you sponsor this bill with me? This is a really good thing. And they'd be like, yeah, but I need you to sponsor this bill, which he has no ties to whatsoever. So,
or in fact, it's like, that's not a good idea, or it's
right,
or it's lobbyists, or it's what do you call it?
It's just a corrupt, it's a swamp, man. It is a swamp. So I think a lot of these business leaders, having the money and the war chest, instead kind of use their power with their corporations, like Disney's doing with Ron DeSantis, and just saying we can find a way around this legislation. We can rule without having to be in the place where you rule. It's just easier, this way. So, and they all, I would say a vast majority of these billionaires probably come from very prestigious universities and schools. I don't know what percentage that is, but like, you're not going to see a farmer at Davos or something, you know what I mean? Even if they're very wealthy, I don't think so anyways. I mean, most of the big farms anyways are owned by China or other conglomerates, but it's just elites with their mandate, and they know the right way to live life, the best thing that we should do. And I think probably a lot of it is, it's not, they seem to despise the plebs, which is not good. You don't want to despise your underlings. And they do. And that's what I think the Bud Light lady with the Dylan Mulvaney stuff, I don't think it was so much Dylan Mulvaney. It was that interview that she did on that podcast where she goes, we need to get rid of this frat boy image that we have. We need to get younger drinkers on, which is always, that was something that stuck out to me too. Like, I don't know what the average age of Dylan Mulvaney's, TikTok follower is, but they're probably pretty young. Are they even old enough to be drinking alcohol? But just seemed to
meant college age, but it sounded weird.
They just seem to really hate their main demographic, and they don't want them, but they are paying their bills at the same time. So they want to try to change that somehow. And they want to, I guess, I don't know if it's shame or, I mean, they seem to be doing pretty good at, using this social system, this social credit system to, the way they want.
While the idiots on the street are arguing over where the trans, gay, pride stuff in Target is, like, this is exactly what they wanted. This was the whole point. Like, I think about the Crusades. I think is a good example where there was a lot of war in Europe in like the 11th and 12th century. And finally the church said, enough on a European soil. Go to Africa. Go convert all those people in Africa to be Christian, and we'll stop having wars on our soil. And that's exactly what happened. Wars kind of ceased in Europe. They went overseas. They collected natural resources. They exploited the people that lived there. And it seems like it's kind of the same thing. Let the plebs fight. Keep the eyes off the church. But in this case, the church isn't the church. It's these multinational corporations. It's government.
Yeah.
All these dark clandestine figures that you can't really who is this faint character? He's not a celebrity. I don't know who he is, but he's a freaking billionaire, so it's like, okay, let's keep the eyes off of us. We need to push this agenda so that, like you said, the plebs and the peasants fight, and that way we can kind of continue business as usual. That's what I think the goal is.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. I don't disagree with you at all. There was, when Occupy Wall Street happened, there was a lot of people on both sides of that on both sides who kind of said, okay, we're getting screwed over by the banks here and by government. We should stop this and rise up. And then I would say that right around then was when all of this,
the racism started.
Sexism, homophobia.
I can't remember where I heard that. Maybe it was.
I think
no, but it was from a podcast. I think it was a Dave Smith thing, for sure, where he was the frequency of the word racism, bigot went up I don't know, something create a 300% or something.
Oh, yeah.
Where suddenly they started talking about that. It's okay, well, why now? We're clearly not more racist than we were 10 years ago. What's going on here? So I think they learned from that, and they said, this works. This will distract them, right? So it's funny because the left, who is pushing this agenda, they also hate the rich. So it seems to be kind of ironic that all the rich people are on the left. Why would that be the case? Okay. That's like putting a BLM flag in your shop saying, pass over me, please, and go terrorize my neighbor. So I think I assume that is the goal, is to say, hey, I'm the one pushing this agenda. Don't come after me. You can't have a guy who's rich, made all that money, and go, yeah, I deserve it. F you guys. Pull yourself up from your bootstraps, and then it's So no one wants to hear that. But if you have a BLM flag and a trans flag and a gay flag and a pride flag and all the flags and the brown flag, but not the white flag, then you're an ally, and people don't go after you because they're busy fighting each other on the street. So it's pretty smart.
Yeah, I'm taking that, using it's a framing thing too, where they say we're the good ones who are not racist and not sexist. And it's well, I don't agree with you in a lot of stuff. Well, I got bad news. You might be racist and sexist then if you're on that team. And those people are bad. And you can either get with it or you could suffer the consequences of not doing so. Mm-hmm. And you're, we're getting that pressure now, not only socially, but now you're getting it from some of these, corporations and banks. You got Bank of America that was providing the FBI with firearm purchases. If you bought a gun, and they could start asking you, well, do you own a gun in your home? Yes, I do. Well, we're not going to let you bank here. We appreciate it, but it's not our bag. And some libertarians just be like, well, they're a private company, so just go, yeah, but they're kind of working with a big sector of the government who want guns banned. So, it's not just a free speech or freedom of association thing. It's it's
capitalism,
avoiding the lawmaking apparatus in our country and bypassing that in order to get what they want. It's smart. It's a good game. And I think really the only thing to do is build alternate, institutions. It's going to be tough, but, anyway, Anna, we're out of time. Thanks so much for coming today. It was a great
the new crib.
Yeah, looks great.
Blank wall. We'll get something up here at some point.
Yeah, let me know when you're having your house party.
I will.
Party
and have you over. Yep.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you, Anna.
All right, thanks, Will. Appreciate you.
Bye. Thank you, folks. Home_made_man. Thanks to Eric. I see your comment there. Appreciate it. Came late to the conversation. Well, Eric, you can always replay this on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you're watching, or you can get the podcast on Sunday. I'd really encourage you to do both and give them 5 stars and tell a friend about it, share it on social media, all that stuff. Subscribe, you know the drill, man. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate the rest of you that checked us out today. No Johnny B show tonight. Well, there's a show. It's a best of tonight. But I'll be there on Thursday and Friday this week. Johnny B's out doing comedy. So I'm riding solo, baby. So it should be fun. And talk to you then. All right. Bye-bye.